The Christmas lights were twinkling like tiny stars, casting a warm glow over the living room. The tree stood proud in the corner, decked out in ornaments collected over decades, each one holding a memory. Some were slightly crooked, some glittered a little too much, but together they told the story of our family. The smell of roasting turkey and spiced cider filled the air. Plates clattered, spoons jingled, and laughter bubbled from every corner. Cousins argued over board games. The dog chased a squeaky toy, and Grandma had already dropped a cookie on the floor. Classic Christmas chaos. I took a slow breath, letting it all sink in. These moments, messy, loud, full of warmth, they're magical. But tonight, would it be fun or something I'd never forget? I glanced at my son, perched on the edge of his chair, eyes sparkling with mischief. His hands twitched like he was plotting something. Oh boy, I could feel trouble coming. Don't you dare touch my seat, whispered a cousin. It's reserved. The room erupted in giggles. My mother-in-law, regal as ever, scanned the chaos, her eyes narrowing. Somewhere in the background, the dog barked as if to say, "Everyone calm down." I chuckled quietly, brushing a strand of hair from my face. These are the moments we remember. The laughter, the tension, the warmth. But even as I soaked it all in, that uneasy feeling kept gnawing at me. Something big was about to happen, something tiny, ridiculous, and unforgettable. And then it happened. Then it happened. My son shoved me hard. Time slowed. My stomach lurched. This wasn't just a push. It was chaos in motion. "This seat's Grandma's. Get out," he shouted like he owned the entire Christmas table. I stumbled back, arms flailing, almost face planting into the floor. Grapes rolled everywhere, clattering against plates. I froze, half ready to cry, half ready to laugh. Seriously? Right now? At Christmas? Every eye in the room was on me. My face burned. What would they think of me as a dad? Mom-in-law's eyes narrowed into laser beams. Cousin snickered nervously, unsure whether to intervene or hide under the table. Even the dog tilted its head like, really, Dad? Would he get it? Or would tonight just be another forgotten shove in the chaos of Christmas? I brushed off crumbs and let out a shaky laugh. All right, kiddo, let's see what you've got, I thought. Inside, my heart was racing. Could he really understand what this shove meant? Or would it just fly over his head like every other little lecture I'd given him? He grinned, completely unaware of the storm he'd unleashed. That smirk. Oh boy, I knew I had to think fast. Every ounce of embarrassment, every twitch of my pride was about to be turned into a life lesson. I glanced around, plates askew, ornaments glimmering, the dog barking, a cousin dropping a fork. Chaos everywhere. Perfect. Perfect for a teaching moment. I took a slow, deep breath. Okay, tonight we turn this into something bigger, I whispered to myself. And I knew somehow this shove would stay in his mind far longer than the turkey stains on my shirt. Module 3, First Reflections and Mini Lesson 8 to 12 minutes revised. After the initial chaos, I sank back into my chair, still shaking my head. My son, oblivious, was poking at a grape like nothing had happened. I watched him, and suddenly memories flooded in. Christmases passed, his tiny hands grabbing candy canes, sticky little fingers smeared with frosting, squeals of joy echoing through the same room. Life had felt simpler then. Messy, yes, but simple now. Loud, complicated, and full of lessons he hadn't quite grasped yet. Could a tiny shove teach something bigger? Could he see life isn't just laughs, turkey, and seat fights? Could this silly shove actually mean something? I took a deep breath. These lessons weren't in textbooks. They weren't written down neatly. They were lived in quiet moments, in the small decisions we make every day: sharing, saving, planning, caring for others, paying attention, even noticing how uh, a shove at the table might teach more than words ever could. I glanced around, the dog pawing at a fallen grape, Grandma adjusting her glasses, cousins whispering about board games, chaos everywhere, perfect. Tiny, ordinary moments like this were ripe for lessons. I leaned closer to my son, voice calm but firm. You know, life. It's full of little pushes, tiny choices that might seem small but actually matter a lot. Even this little shove. Yeah, it's more than just a nudge, kiddo. He tilted his head, intrigued, still holding that smirk like he was in on some secret joke. What do you mean, Dad? I smiled, brushing crumbs from my sleeve. Every choice you make, saving a little money, helping out, being kind, adds up. It's like building a house, one brick at a time. Skip a brick and the roof doesn't hold. You see, even small pushes like tonight, they matter. Oh, I caught that tiny flicker of understanding in his eyes. Could he really get it? Could this chaotic shove turn into something meaningful? Little did he know, this shove was the first real taste of how choices stack up in life. I rested a hand on his shoulder, letting him feel the seriousness without scaring him. Tonight, you've had your first real taste of how life works. Small actions, big effects. The room hummed around us, ordinary and noisy, but this quiet little moment between us carried more meaning than the glittering tree ever could. The room had settled into controlled chaos. Plates clattered, silverware jingled, and the dog barked at someone across the room. My son sat there, cheeks pink, smirk fading into curiosity. I took a slow breath and leaned in. You know, kiddo, it's not just about shoving or seats. It's about choices. Every little thing you do, it matters in ways you can't even see yet. He tilted his head, eyes narrowing like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Choices, yeah, I said, brushing crumbs off my sleeve, like how we handle money, or the roof over our heads, or even how we treat the people around us. Every small thing stacks up. Miss one, and it can change the whole picture. I paused, watching his little brain tick, that flicker of understanding. There's nothing like it. I chuckled softly. Who knew a shove at the table could teach life lessons? Then chaos returned. Cousin Sam spilled cranberry sauce. Grandma gasped, and the dog ran in circles chasing its tail. I couldn't help but laugh. Perfect, real life, messy as hell. Exactly the kind of teaching moment I needed. I leaned closer. See, life's like this room, full of noise, surprises, spills, laughs, and your choices. They're the little bricks holding everything up, even money, even responsibilities, even mortgages someday. His eyes widened at mortgages. The gears were turning. I smiled. Don't worry, kiddo. You don't have to think about mortgages tonight. But every choice you make builds towards something bigger. Saving, planning, helping others. That shoves tonight. Tiny lesson. Real impact. I remember my own parents teaching with nudges, quiet lessons, and everyday chaos. Real understanding doesn't come from lectures. It comes from Live moments. I shared a story from my childhood. One Christmas, I knocked over the tree trying to grab a cookie. Mom wasn't mad, but she made me clean up every ornament, taught me to think ahead, be careful, and respect other people's stuff. He laughed wide eyed, so I'm not the first to cause chaos. Not even close, I said. Everyone makes mistakes. But if you pay attention, even mistakes can turn into lessons. A tiny pause, a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. Could he really see it? Could this ridiculous shove stick with him forever? I hoped so. I rested my hand on his shoulder. Life's full of pushes, kiddo. Some funny, some frustrating. But all of them teach you something if you notice. Tonight, you're starting to see how decisions, actions, and even money all connect. The room hummed with normal chaos, ordinary laughter. But for my son, tonight's chaos had become a classroom, a series of tiny nudges shaping his understanding for years to come. The room had quieted a little. Chaos still hummed in the background, but softer now. My son looked at me, wide eyed, finally letting the weight of the shove and all my stories sink in. I leaned closer, voice calm but serious. Kiddo, tonight you got a little shove, not just from me, but from life. He tilted his head, curious. From life. Yeah, I said. Life throws pushes at you, some funny, some frustrating, some that make you think, wait, what just happened? Every push teaches something if you're paying attention. I paused, letting that sink in. That flicker of understanding on his face made my chest tighten. See, choices aren't just about now. They stack up, saving a little money, helping someone, thinking ahead. Those tiny decisions grow into bigger things, responsibilities, opportunities, even a house over your head one day. He blinked. Mortgages, already thinking ahead. Ha ha ha. I smiled. Exactly. Someday you'll see how this all connects. Small actions leading to big results. Tonight is just a shove, a mess, a laugh. But it's the start of understanding how life really works. I held his gaze. Every brick matters, kiddo. Every shove, every choice. Ignore it, and things fall apart. Notice it, learn, and you build something strong, solid, lasting, like a home, like trust, like responsibility. He nodded slowly. That slow nod, the spark of comprehension, was the moment a parent lives for. I rested a hand on his shoulder. I know it sounds heavy, but it's not scary. It's real. Life piles up brick by brick. Decisions, actions, even little shoves, they shape your world. Around us, plates clinked, laughter floated, the dog ran wild. But in that bubble, the lesson was crystal clear. One shove, a messy Christmas, had turned into a classroom of life. I chuckled softly. Someday you'll look back and laugh at the chaos, but you'll remember the lesson. Even small actions matter. Responsibility matters. Money, planning, thinking ahead, even mortgages someday. He smiled, a mix of pride, awe, and maybe a little shock at Dad's sudden wisdom. I knew right then, tonight, everything was about to change in ways none of us expected. And just like that, a tiny shove at the Christmas table became a life lesson my son would carry forever. The Christmas chaos had faded into a gentle hum. Plates were cleared. The dog had collapsed with a tired sigh, and the tree glittered softly in the corner. My son sat beside me, still processing everything that had happened tonight. I smiled, brushing crumbs from my sleeve. You know, kiddo, tonight wasn't just about shoves or turkey or who gets grandma's seat. He looked up, curiosity and maybe a hint of pride shining in his eyes. It was about life. Tiny pushes, small choices, little decisions. They all add up. That shove tonight. Yeah, it was messy, but it was also a lesson about responsibility, thinking ahead, caring for others, and yes, even about money. Someday, maybe even mortgages. He chuckled quietly, shaking his head. I never thought a shove could teach all that. I laughed softly with him. Neither did I, kiddo, neither did I. But that's the thing about life. Lessons come in weird, unexpected packages, spilled juice, chaotic tables, little pushes. All of it matters if you're paying attention. Oh! I rested a hand on his shoulder, letting the warmth of the moment sink in. I could see it in his eyes, understanding, pride, a spark of wisdom that hadn't been there before. I leaned back, surveying the room, still a little messy, still alive with echoes of laughter. And I thought, this is why we keep teaching, keep nudging, keep living fully in the chaos. For these moments, for the lessons that stick. Remember, kiddo, I said softly, life piles up, brick by brick, shove by shove, choice by choice. Notice it, learn from it, and you'll build something that lasts, a life, a home, a future you can be proud of. He smiled, eyes shining. I think I get it now, Dad. I chuckled, heart full. Good, because one day you'll look back and laugh at the chaos and remember the shove that started it all. And with that, we sat quietly, letting the warmth, the laughter, and the lessons settle into our hearts. Christmas, chaos, and all, it had given us a moment that would last a lifetime.